In the beach towns of Southern California, the sun shines early and often. But in the spring of 1979, the sky is about to darken for a single bomb. Barb Brogley is newly divorced and spending a few nights in a local motel with her 13-year-old son, Jaime. On the morning of April 19th, Barb dresses for work and Jaime hustles off to school.
He had his lunch money and his bus fare and a book bag and his skateboard. And last thing he said was, "Goodbye and I love you, Mom. See you tonight." And that was the last time I ever saw him.
After work, Barb returns to the motel to find that Jaime never made it to school that day. Checking with Jamie's friends, Barb discovers that her son is nowhere to be found. Concerned to the point of panic, Barb calls police, but gets no immediate help.
Back then, it was 72 hours before they would take a report. And then, if they wouldn't consider him a missing person unless they were seen being abducted, they were considered runaways.
3 days later, Jamie's disappearance warrants police attention. Detective Dave Walker works the case.
A lot of times, you get a case like this, and if there is a typical runaway where they're gone for a few days and then one of their relatives or friends will spot them and you'll hear about them.
6 weeks into the investigation, Detective Walker becomes convinced of what a mother knew in her heart after 6 hours.
At that point, I'm thinking that there's probably foul play involved in the case.
The months become a year, the years a decade. Jaime Trotter has vanished from the face of the earth. In January of 1990, Larry Nielsen works as an investigator for the Riverside County Sheriff. Late one Sunday afternoon, Nielsen takes a report from a deputy responding to a call from a hiker named James Crummell.
Crummell said that he had found what he thought were human bones because it was a jawbone with braces or dental appliances.
The next morning, Nielsen and his partner follow their hiker into the wilderness.
Well, he brought us to one location on the side of the hill, and he pointed down onto the ground, and there was a portion of the skull that was visible. Near that portion of the skull, there was the upper jawbone, and a little bit farther away we found the lower jawbone with the braces on it.
Smaller bones are scattered along the side of the hill. The gravity of the discovery is realized immediately. Police send the remains to forensic anthropologist Dr. Robert Hegler. The doctor cannot name a cause of death, but he does point to the pelvic bone as a clear identifying factor.
He concluded that we had a female, and it was a young female, early teens.
Eventually, the pile of bones is marked down as a Jane Doe and set aside. It will be almost 5 years before investigators take a second look at the remains and realize they made a mistake. In the early 1990s, the state of California begins processing unidentified human remains through a new computer database called MUPS, or Missing Unidentified Persons System.
Debbie, take a look at these again.
Dr. Judy Suchy is a forensic anthropologist working on the project from her lab at Cal State Fullerton.
Where did we put that ilium?
In the summer of 1995, she comes across the remains found in the Ortega Mountains, along with a report classifying the bones as female.
I was rather surprised that he had tried to determine a sex. This particular individual was 10 to 12, 13 in that vicinity, which is virtually impossible to sex accurately.
Dr. Suchy reclassifies the bones with a sex of undetermined and kicks them back to Riverside County. Investigators expand their search to include girls and boys with braces. Almost immediately, they get a hit.
When we were able to enter the correct identification into the MUP system, we immediately got a hit out of Orange County on Jaime Trotter.
Jamie's dental records are sent to Dr. Doug Weiler for comparison with the unidentified remains.
You couldn't tell anything definitive. You couldn't tell if it was him for certain, but you could not eliminate him.
Unable to match up teeth, Dr. Weiler turns to the braces.
As I looked at the teeth and the braces, I immediately knew that I did not do the work. And so it hit me that his orthodontist would know whether that was his work or not.
Weiler tracks down Jaime Trotter's orthodontist. And indeed, the doctor recognizes his own handiwork. Jaime's family provides DNA samples, and forensic testing confirms what a dentist already suspects. The remains found in the Ortega Mountains are, in fact, Jaime Trotter's.
As a parent, I really wanted to find Jaime.
Paul Capicilli is a cop as well as a father. With Trotter's remains now identified, he takes up the hunt for the boy's killer.
You know, we closed one chapter on this incident because now we had him. But we also got a new chapter in that we didn't know how he got there.
Jaime's bones provide nary a clue as to how the boy died. That is until one night when Capicilli awakens from a sound sleep with the name of a suspect on the tip of his tongue.
Middle of the night, I woke up, just sat straight up in bed, and I said, that son of a bitch killed Jaime.
It's a slow morning in 1996, and Costa Mesa detective Paul Capicilli is working patrol. As the officer cruises down Hamilton Street, he notices the car in front of him has an expired registration. Capicilli hits his flashers and initiates a routine traffic stop.
He got out of the car and gave me his driver's license. And as I'm writing him this ticket, I looked at it and I said to him, Mr. Crummell, how do I know you? And he says, oh, we never met before.
The two began talking, and Capicilli discovers that Mr. Crummell is James Crummell, the same James Crummell who discovered Jaime Trotter's bones while hiking some 6 years earlier.
And I thought, what a coincidence, this is incredible.
When Capicilli gets back to police headquarters, he does a little digging and discovers the department had actually investigated Crummell in 1982 on a child molestation charge.
When I saw his name in there and that arrest, it all came back to me. I remembered in 1982 that I ran a records check on Mr. Crummell and learned that he had been arrested in Wisconsin for attempted murder on a child. And he had been arrested for murder of a child in Arizona.
For investigators, it is all too much coincidence to believe that James Crummell is anything but Jaime Trotter's killer. Problem is, they still have to prove it. To do that, they decide to talk to their suspect and see if he makes a mistake. Crummell declines to meet police in the mountains and seeks to disassociate himself completely with the location of Jaime's remains.
It was somewhere right along in there, but I really couldn't tell you exactly.
Investigator Johnson tracks down a former lover of Jim, a man we'll call John, who tells the detective about his relationship with Crummell, including a number of sexual adventures in the great outdoors.
It was strange that every time they went to a location, Jim would want to have sex with him at that location. It was a place where Jim enjoyed having sex up there in the mountains. So I took him in towards the area where we knew that Jamie's body was found. And as we hiked into the area, he pointed out and said, I've been here before with Jim.
It is the last link in a circumstantial chain of murder stretching back 3 decades. On May 30th, 1997, James Crummell gets a visit from police and is arrested for the murder of Jaime Trotter. The task of representing James Crummell falls to Riverside County Public Defender Marianne Galante. Her strategy is simple: highlight what she sees as a major fundamental flaw in the state's case.
This is not a case where there was any physical evidence at all linking Crummell to the crime.
All they're doing is mad dogging.
There's no blood, there's no witness, there's no smoking gun. There is no physical evidence.
Galante is right. What the state does have, however, is a damning set of circumstances, perhaps most telling, the defendant's own criminal past. After 4 weeks of testimony and 4 days of deliberation, the jury agrees with Mitchell and finds Crummell guilty for the murder of Jaime Trotter. On June 7, 2004, a judge sentences James Crummell to die by lethal injection.